Good morning, all. Today's topic is adrenal function test. It is a revision class. It is already we have completed this topic. Uh, Before going to the topic, we need to basic think about adrenal gland. Okay, basic thing about adrenal gland. With the using of this adrenal function test, we need to know about whether this adrenal gland is functioning properly or not. So, basic thing, adrenal gland, where it is situated. So, adrenal gland is situated above the upper pole of the kidney. Both the kidneys having these adrenal glands at upper pole of the kidney. So, this adrenal gland, it is a pyramid-shaped gland. It is a pyramid-shaped gland. So, in the cross section, adrenal gland, like the kidney, here also it is having two parts: cortex part, medulla part. But in the kidney, that is containing nephrons. It is completely occupied by the cortex and medulla. That is completely occupied by the nephrons. But here in the adrenal gland, it is having different types of cells. So those different types of cells producing different hormones. So here at the center, that is having a medulla. So inner medulla. Outer part, that is completely covered by cortex. So outer cortex. This outer cortex again is having three types of cells. What are those? Glomerulosa, fasciculata, reticularis. GFR, you can remember both. So in the microscopic, you can see clearly what are the different types of cells those are present in the medulla as well as in the cortex. In the outer cortex, that is covered by the capsule. Then after it is having three types of cells. Okay, one is zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis. These three parts, those are present in the cortex part. In the medulla part, this is also called adrenal medulla. It is having chromaffin cells. It is having chromaffin cells. So here, zona glomerulosa, that is producing aldosterone hormone. Aldosterone hormone. It is a mineralocorticoid. Zona fasciculata and zona reticularis. These two cells are producing glucocorticoids, cortisol and androgens. Glucocorticoids are produced. In the adrenal medulla, that is producing catecholamines, epinephrine or norepinephrine. These two are called catecholamines. Okay, so these are the hormones produced from the different types of the cells in the adrenal gland. So here, whatever hormones those are produced from the adrenal gland, those are all steroids. Okay, those are all steroids. Why it is called steroids? All the steroids are producing from the cholesterol. All the steroids are producing from the cholesterol. So cholesterol basic structure, that name is cyclopentenoperhydrophenaphrine. So cyclopentenoperhydrophenaphrine name, cholesterol structure name. So what are the structure of cholesterol? You know very well. What are the parts are present here? So here, these are all different hormones produced from the cholesterol, steroid hormones. So here you can see steroidal, testosterone, progesterone, cortisol, aldosterone. These are all produced from the adrenal gland. So these are all produced from the cholesterol. So cholesterol is the most important substance that is required for the synthesis of different steroid hormones in the adrenal gland. So how these steroid hormones are produced from the cholesterol? So this is the process From the cholesterol, steroid hormones are produced. So, for the production of steroid hormones, inside the cells of the adrenal gland, that is required cholesterol. So, cholesterol that is transported from the external cellular space to our blood that is enters into the inside the cell through the transporter. So here we know that two types of cholesterol. So lipid profile, you know that different parameters in the lipid profile: triglycerides, cholesterol, HDL, LDL, VLDL. This is the lipid profile. So here HDL cholesterol is the good cholesterol, LDL cholesterol is the bad cholesterol. That is called. But here we have to remember that LDL cholesterol, when it is above the normal range is present in the blood, then only this LDL cholesterol is bad cholesterol. Otherwise, it is having some useful functions for the humans. For example, here this LDL cholesterol, it is a transporter. Why it is called it is a transporter? It transports cholesterol, triglycerides, phospholipids from one place to another place. So it is a LDL is a ball-like substance. Okay, LDL is the ball-like substance. Outer part that is containing ApoB100 and also some phospholipids. Inside that is having cholesterol esters, phospholipids, and triglycerides. So these are all packed inside the LDL cholesterol. Then it is transported in the blood. In the blood, it is transported from the one place to another place. So when it is reached to particular organ of the cells, if the cells are having LDL receptor, then this LDL cholesterol that binds to the LDL receptor cells. Then this LDL cholesterol that enters into the cell. Then LDL cholesterol that releases whatever packed cholesterol is present, cholesterol esters are present inside the LDL, that is released into the inside the cell. So finally, cholesterol that is transported from the blood into the inside the cell. So in the adrenal gland, that cholesterol finally that is reached into the adrenal gland. In the adrenal gland, this cholesterol, from the cholesterol, that steroid hormones production that is taking place, along with the bile acids also. So in the last examination, we are given that question, name the bile salts and bile pigments. So here there are 90% of the students, they are given that the bile pigments names, bilirubin and biliverdin. But there are 60% of the students, they does not know about bile salts names. So simply you can remember what are the bile salts. So bile acids, when the bile acids are conjugated with the taurines or glycans, then that produces conjugations. Okay, bile salts are produced. So here simply you can remember that what are the bile salts? Sodium and potassium salts of the taurochelates and glycochelates. Sodium and potassium salts of taurochelates and glycochelates. These are the bile salts. So there are 60% of the students, they are given wrong. There are some students, they are not given answer. Okay. So here you can remember bile salts. So from the cholesterol that is producing steroid hormones, when there is a availability of the cholesterol present inside the cells of the adrenal gland. So here, when there is an excess of cholesterol, so that inhibits the cholesterol synthesis in the cell. Then this excess cholesterol that is stored inside the cell. Whenever cholesterol required for the formation of these substances, then that utilizes this excess cholesterol. Okay. In the next slide, we will learn about how these steroid hormones are produced. So this is also same cycle. So LDL receptor that binds LDL cholesterol, then this LDL cholesterol that enters into the cell, Then finally that releases cholesterol pool. Finally that releases cholesterol pool, free cholesterol. Then from the free cholesterol inside the inside the cell that producing pregnenolone. It is the primary product of the adrenal hormone. Okay, from the pregnenolone that produces different steroid hormones. Okay, pregnenolone is the a primary product that is produced from the free cholesterol. So for the production of pregnenolone, free cholesterol that is regulated by different products. What are those? One is STAR, one is hormone. So here STAR means steroidogenic acute regulatory protein. Steroidogenic acute regulatory protein. Second one is hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone. These two are regulates synthesis of pregnenolone from the free cholesterol. Okay. So when there is a sufficient, when there is a production of pregnenolone, then that produces steroid hormones. So this pregnenolone that is controlled by two substances: steroidogenic acute regulatory protein. Second one is adrenocorticotropic hormone. So this is the complete cycle how these steroid hormones are produced in the adrenal gland. Okay, so from the cholesterol, the primary product that is pregnenolone that is produced. Then this pregnenolone that converted to the different hormones in the adrenal gland: aldosterone, cortisol, estradiol, and dehydroepiandrosterone, androstenedione. These are all hormones produced from the pregnenolone. So here, for the production of all these hormones, that is require three types of enzymes. So for the formation of all these steroid hormones from the pregnenolone, that is require three enzymes. What are those? First one is dehydrogenase. Second one is hydroxylase. Third one is lyase. These three enzymes are very important for the formation of steroid hormones. What are those? Dehydrogenase, hydroxylase, and lyase. So this first reaction that is taking place in the zona glomerulosa, the first layer. Second, cortisol synthesis that is taking place in the zona fasciculata, and the third one, that is third cycle that is taking place in the zona reticularis. So in the first reactions, whenever pregnenolone that is produced in the adrenal gland, in the presence of the enzyme dehydrogenase and hydroxylase, this pregnenolone that converted to the progesterone and corticosterone. Okay, corticosterone. From the corticosterone that is producing aldosterone hormone. This corticosterone to aldosterone that is controlled by the, inhibited by the adrenocorticotropic hormone and also regulated by the angiotensin II. Like that, this pregnenolone in the presence of the hydroxylase enzyme that is converted to the hydroxypregnenolone. In the presence of the these reactions that is taking place in the zona fasciculata, second layer. Okay, so then this hydroxypregnenolone in the presence of the dehydrogenase, then hydroxylase that is converted to finally producing cortisol in the zona fasciculata. And finally, this hydroxypregnenolone in the presence of the lyase enzyme that is converted to the dehydroepiandrosterone in the zona reticularis. Dehydroepiandrosterone in the zona fasciculata, and also that is converted to in the presence of the enzyme dehydrogenase to androstenedione. So here dehydroxyepiandrosterone and sulfated dehydroxyepiandrosterone are adrenal derived androgens. These two are adrenal derived androgens. So this is the complete reactions to production of steroid hormones. In the medulla, that is producing catecholamines. In the medulla, that is producing catecholamines. What are those catecholamines? Epinephrine, norepinephrine. These two are producing from the amino acid tyrosine. So here tyrosine that is converted to dopamine in the presence of the enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase. Then finally that is producing norepinephrine and epinephrine. These two are called catecholamines produced in the medulla. Okay. So that is about different steroid hormones. Those are producing in the different cells in the adrenal gland, in the cortex, and also in the medulla. So once when it is produced, all these hormones, those are reached to the blood. Those are immediately reached to the blood. So then after, these steroid hormones are immediately transported from one place to another place. So for the transport, immediately that has to bind with the transport proteins, carrier proteins. So here carrier proteins are 90 to 98% of these hormones carried by the carrier proteins. What are those? Albumin, sex hormone binding globulin, corticosteroid binding globulin. So these are all carrier proteins. Then it carries from one place to another target cell. Then this hormone that reaches to the target cell, that's participated in the gene expression and producing new protein for cell activity. Okay. So here most of the these adrenal hormones are called steroid hormones. Adrenal hormones are called stress hormones. Okay. Stress hormones. So when we are getting stress, depending on stress status, that is releasing different hormones. So here short-term stress response that releasing epinephrine and norepinephrine. So whenever we are suffering with the short-term stress response, immediately that sends the signals to the hypothalamus. From the hypothalamus, that sends the signals to the medulla that releasing catecholamines, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Then after these epinephrine and norepinephrine that acts on different cells that producing these problems. So here whenever epinephrine, norepinephrine is released into the blood, reach to the target cell, immediately there is some actions. What are those? Here first one is glycogen breakdown. Whenever glycogen breakdown that is taking place, excess of glucose is produced in the blood. Okay, so increasing blood glucose concentration in the blood. So second one is increased blood pressure, increased breathing rate, increased metabolic rate. So blood flow pattern is increasing. So these are all problems that those are producing. Like that, whenever long-term stress response is present, whenever these signals reaches to the hypothalamus, hypothalamus is releasing adrenocorticotropic hormone. Corticotropic releasing hormone. Corticotropic releasing hormone. These corticotropic releasing hormones then reach to the blood. From the blood, it is transported to the anterior pituitary gland. So whenever it reaches to the anterior pituitary gland, corticotropic releasing hormone that releases adrenocorticotropic hormone in the anterior pituitary gland. Then this adrenocorticotropic hormone that enters into the blood and reaches to the cortex of the adrenal gland. In the cortex that is having, that is producing glucocorticoids and also mineralocorticoids. So if that is releasing mineralocorticoids, so here mineralocorticoids functions are that the reabsorption of the sodium ions and water in the kidney that is taking place. So more reabsorption of the sodium, more reabsorption of the water reabsorption that is taking place in the kidney. Next one is increased blood volume and blood pressure. Due to excess of water reabsorption, that blood volume and blood BP is increased. Glucocorticoids, whenever protein breakdown that is taking place, protein fat breakdown that is taking place, glucose leading to increase the blood glucose concentration is increased, and also immune system may be suppressed. So these are all stress problems we are getting if we are having these stress hormones whenever excess is present in the blood. So, in the adrenal, if there is any adrenal gland problems, there are two kinds of diseases. So, one is maybe due to enlarged adrenal gland. One is due to reduced size of the adrenal gland. So, Addison's disease. In that, Addison's disease is maybe due to reduced size of the adrenal gland. Cushing syndrome is maybe due to enlarged adrenal gland due to tumors of the adrenal gland. So simply you can remember that Cushing syndrome, it is producing enlarging the adrenal gland. In the Addison's disease, reducing the size of the adrenal gland. So that reduces, there are different symptoms. There are different types of symptoms those are producing. So that is about the basic thing about the adrenal gland, what type of cells those are present, what type of hormones those are releasing due to stress, what are the actions of stress hormones in the different cells. So these are all we discussed. Now we have to discuss about adrenal function tests. Adrenal function tests. So adrenal function, whether it is normal or abnormal. So if it is normal, first of all we need to discuss about how adrenal gland that is producing hormones. So we already discussed about adrenal. If it is normal adrenal gland that is producing normal steroid hormones into the blood. This is mainly depending on the external hormones action on the adrenal gland. So what are those external hormones? Adrenocorticotropic hormone, corticotropic releasing hormone. So adrenocorticotropic hormone that is producing from the anterior pituitary gland, corticotropic releasing hormone that is producing from the hypothalamus. So here adrenal function that is mainly depending on hormones ACTH and CRH, and also we are estimating the adrenal gland functional status itself. So what are these we will discuss. So here adrenal gland stimulation test. So here this is the adrenal gland. It is stimulated by the adrenocorticotropic hormone, corticotropic releasing hormone. Okay, it is stimulated by the adrenocorticotropic hormone, corticotropic releasing hormone. So whenever it is stimulated, then only steroid hormones are released from the adrenal gland. If there is no stimulation by the adrenocorticotropic hormone, corticotropic hormone, there is a less amount of the adrenal hormones, those are present in the blood. Or if there is any problem in the adrenal gland itself, there is a chance to reduce stress hormones in the blood. Okay, so here first test is adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulation test. So for this test, so in the normal patients, adrenocorticotropic hormone that is released from the anterior pituitary gland that acts on adrenal gland. But here adrenal gland that is not producing adrenal hormones. So here for this test we need to collect 2 samples. So for this patient, before administration of the before inject the adrenocorticotropic hormone, we need to collect 1 blood sample. Then after administration of the adrenocorticotropic hormone, we need to color 2 samples within 30 minutes and 60 minutes. So we need to color 3 samples. One is before injection, 2 are after injection of the adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then after we are estimating that cortisol hormone in the blood, whether it is normal cortisol or abnormal cortisol. So whenever here we are providing excess amount of adrenocorticotropic hormone, So whenever we are providing excess of adrenocorticotropic hormone, so here definitely there is a increase of cortisol hormone in the blood. If it is normal in condition, adrenal gland, if it is normal in condition, that producing excess amount of cortisol. If it is not in normal condition, that is maybe reduces. So here in the additions, this is what happened. No change of serum cortisol concentration in the blood, maybe due to additions. So in the addition, this is what happened. This adrenal gland size is greatly reduced. Adrenal gland size is greatly reduced due to that abnormal structure of this adrenal gland. That adrenocorticotropic action that is not taking place on the adrenal gland. Okay, so this is first test, that is adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulation test. Like that, second one is corticotropic releasing hormone stimulation test. So for this, we are providing excess amount of the corticotropic releasing hormone. So excess amount of the corticotropic releasing hormone. So when we are providing excess amount of the corticotropic releasing hormone, then it acts on anterior pituitary gland. Then that is also producing excess amount of the adrenocorticotropic hormone. Then that excess of the adrenocorticotropic hormone that producing excess amount of the cortisol. So here cortisol concentration on blood is indicator of adrenocorticotropic hormone response on adrenal gland. So most patients with the Cushing syndrome caused by adrenal tumors do not respond to corticotropic releasing hormone. So this procedure you don't require. This is the second test. One is we are externally providing adrenocorticotropic hormone. Second one is for the stimulation of the adrenal gland, we are providing corticotropic releasing hormone. These two hormones we are providing. When it is provided, that has to stimulate adrenal gland. Next one is suppression test. So here dexamethasone, it is a corticosteroid we are providing to the patient. So whenever this dexamethasone we are providing to the patient, that suppresses the adrenocorticotropic hormone action on the adrenal gland. So whenever there is no action of the adrenocorticotropic hormone on the gland, there is a reduced the production of the cortisol. So cortisol concentration is greatly reduced in the blood. Okay. So this test is useful for the Cushing. If the patient is suffering with the Cushing syndrome, there is no chance to reduce cortisol concentration in the blood. So because this is already producing enlarged adrenal gland, Even if it is a reduced adrenocorticotropic hormone, that the gland is producing steroid hormones. Okay, so this is suppression test. Next one is testing functional status of the adrenal gland itself. Functional status. So whether there is a problem in the zones, glomerular zone, fascicular zone, reticular zone. So for this, there are 3 tests. One is corticosteroid function, aldosterone function, mineralocorticoid function. Third one is adrenal androgen function. These are 3 functions of the. So here, first one is corticosteroid function. So corticosteroid, cortisol that is producing from the cortisol is a glucocorticoid. We know that glucocorticoid that is producing from the zona fasciculata. Zona fasciculata. So this cortisol hormone we are estimating both in the blood as well as in the urine samples. Okay. So here, whenever we are observing excess amount of the secretion in the adrenal, that means more amount of cortisol present in the blood or in the urine, that may be due to Cushing syndrome. That is the indication to the Cushing syndrome, enlarged size of the adrenal gland in the Cushing syndrome. If it is low amount of the cortisol present in the blood or in the urine samples, that may be due to Addison's disease. In the Addison's disease, that the size of the adrenal gland is greatly reduced. So normal concentrations of the cortisol, it maybe depends on the climatic conditions. So here in the morning cortisol, that there is this variation of the evening samples. Okay, we must remember that time of the sample collection. So here, if we are collecting the morning sample cortisol that is having blood is 8.7 to 22.4 micrograms per deciliter. But in the evening sample with the same patient, evening sample, it is less than 10 micrograms per deciliter. There is no greater than. There is a less than 10 micrograms per deciliter. Okay. In the urine, 24 hours of the urine, free cortisol is less than 60 micrograms per deciliter in the males. In the females, less than 45 micrograms per deciliter. Like that, in the saliva also we are estimating that cortisol levels in the morning sample, that is 8.7 nanograms per ml. That is the same patient evening sample, that is less than 1 nanograms per ml. So these are all reference ranges in the serum, urine, and also in the saliva. But here we must note it down time of the sample collection, whether it is a morning sample or evening sample. Next one is mineralocorticoid function, aldosterone. So aldosterone is it is produced from the zona fasciculata. Okay, the first layer of the adrenal gland. So here the aldosterone main function is that reabsorbs more sodium and water and secretes potassium from the kidney. So this is the main function of the aldosterone. So here aldosterone estimation in the serum sample. So aldosterone variations that is present in the position of the sample collection of the patient. Position of the patient, whether patient is sitting position or supine, sleeping position, or in the sitting position. We need to note down, because in these positions there is a variation of the aldosterone ranges. Okay, so here in the 8 to 10 a.m. in the sitting position, that is 3 to 34 nanograms per deciliter. In the supine position, at the same time, that is 2 to 90 nanograms per deciliter. These two are normal ranges. Okay, but if it is in the supine position, if they are getting greater than 20, there is a chance to aldosterone problem, adrenal gland problem. So next one is 4 to 6 p.m. in the evening sitting position, that is 2 to 23 nanograms per deciliter. So these are all the reference ranges, that is depending on the time as well as position of the patient at the time of sample collection. Okay. So aldosterone estimation, that is mainly useful for the identification of primary hyperaldosteronism, electrolyte disorders. You know that at the time of electrolytes we discussed all these, sodium and all these. Next one is assessment of adrenal aldosterone production. Adrenal aldosterone production. This is about mineralocorticoid function. Next one is adrenal androgen function. This is produced from the third layer, zona reticularis. So it is again two types of tests are present. stimulation test, suppression test. In that stimulation test, we are providing that adrenocorticotropic hormones stimulates the secretion of the adrenal androgens. Adrenocorticotropic hormone stimulates the secretion of the adrenal androgens. So, whenever adrenal androgens are stimulated, that producing adrenal androgen hormones. What are those? Dehydroepialdosterone, sulfated dehydroepialdosterone. These two are adrenal androgens. Okay. Suppression test. Whenever we are providing dexamethasone, it is acts on the adrenal gland that suppress the reactions. Then that reduces the adrenal androgens in the blood. That reduces the adrenal androgens in the blood. So these are all overall reactions, different types of tests we are using for the functional status of the adrenal gland. Functional status of the adrenal gland. Thank you.